Well, hello and welcome back to the Homeschool Shopping Channel. I am your host, Mackenzie, and I am so happy you're here. And today we are going to talk about, first of all, of course, I have some products of the day, but I'm also going to show you inside a little bit of my system that maybe you'll find exciting or helpful, and maybe it'll make your life easier. I don't know. So first off, let's get to products of the day. Okay, so first off, I want to show you, let's talk about this book right here. This is Spooky Lakes, 25 Strange and Mysterious Lakes That Dot Our Planet. So this is the official book based on the TikTok hit series. So let me give you an example. So this is like Lake Candy, and it tells the haunted story associated with this lake. Is interesting because it has trees underneath it. So it has a forest in here and explains why it has a forest, why it's so different from other lakes. So very interesting. The only thing I wish I had actual pictures of the lakes, but we just took my cell phone, looked them up, and you can see them, and they are very cool. So that's 25 of those. Plus it has in the beginning here, and you can get this at the library. I just got it at the library. It has in the beginning, so these are all the haunted lakes it covers. The introduction is also pretty interesting. And then it's got lake facts, kind of dull, but I mean, I guess interesting nonetheless. Okay, so Super Duper Safety School, very important book. Very important book. I think all families should have one. And what it does is, what does unsafe mean? How do you know which adults? So it's basically you're going to graduate from Super Duper Safety School. What do you have to do to graduate? And my job is to teach kids how to stay safe. So one of the things it has in here is if you are lost, look for a mom with children. Look for a mom with children to ask for help. If you can't find, if you're not in a store and you can't find someone that works there. So, and it teaches you which type of people not to trust. Look at rule number 5. I won't go anywhere or take anything from someone I don't know, no matter what they say. Not for candy, not for money, not for toys, not for nothing. Even if they seem nice. Because it tells you in here that tricky people, that's what it calls them, don't ask for help from kids. They ask for help from other adults if they have a problem. So don't believe them if they ask for help from kids. Okay, so Super Duper Safety School. Look at this product right here. This is flashcards by Merca. There's 96 cards. There is the 46th president cards. Does not have the 47th on it yet. And there is the 50 state cards. Now, if for some reason you want your child to memorize the presidents of the United States, interestingly enough, they have a song by Classical Conversations that is really good, really catchy, and available on all Apple products have it. So you just look up Classical Conversation, and I believe it's called Dun Dun Dun, the Presidents. So here it's got nickname. We're talking Joe here, the last president. What age he was elected, 78, birthplace, date of birth, education, political party. Okay, so kind of interesting. If you want, for some reason, everyone to memorize president's cards, which I kind of do. Part of me wants to. Will they? No, but part of me wants them to. I think it sounds cool. And this is, of course, state cards. These are thicker than playing cards, a little thicker than playing cards. So it has the national bird, the national flower, where it's located, right? You got the red there. That's what I like about it. And then it's got the capital, which to me is kind of the most important part. And it has the number in which it became a state, which it's number 22. Okay, so let's talk about my school system. So my kids know an awful lot. And one of the ways they do that is not because of some strict educating system I got going on. Trust me, it would not happen. But what I do, I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, so first of all, you can see how I teach. I teach during breakfast and lunch and sometimes dinner, but I don't really teach during dinner. I just do more reading. And one of the ways that works is that if you're not competing with anything, if you're not competing with television, if you're not competing with Minecraft, or like Minecraft's like a weekend thing, stuff like that, then they'll be bored. And bored kids don't mind when you read to them. And start off with picture books. Start off reading picture books because you can learn awful lot from picture books. And picture books are pretty interesting for kids of all ages, even adults. There's some interesting picture books. At least I found some of them interesting. Okay, so then you switch on to curriculum. So let's talk. I did another video yesterday, which is the 6 science curriculums I'm covering. Do I have to cover 6? No, but we have a lot of time. When you read during breakfast and lunch, you cover a lot of material. And then they do their solo subjects alone. I don't test on solo subjects, so I don't test on math. I don't test on reading. We just progress through the curriculum as we go. But I do test on science, history, social science, all the stuff we learn, only because testing for them is kind of fun. The way I do it is, so we have study sheets. I make study sheets, and we study the study sheets, and then we'll kind of I'll have them stand at one side of the room, and every time they get a question right, we do it orally. Then they can jump. All right, it is skill testing question times. starring Locke. Now, Locke, question number 1. Every time you get a question right, you get to take a step forward, sir. Okay, here we go. How many different colors in the rainbow?
7!
If you take all the colors in the rainbow and you take away 2, how many we got left?
5!
All right, take a jump. You're moving too many spots. And we do practice tests like we do practice, so it's fun. It's not like a high pressure situation here. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be cool with that, and my one son would definitely not be cool with that. There's no time limits. There's nothing like that. And so it's kind of fun because I made these science tests based on the stuff that we cover. So you can take some curriculums, and some curriculums are pretty easy. And they have, like this is Enjoying God's World, definitely one of my favorites. And at the end of each unit here, it does have the Bible says, but it also has Do You Remember? And then it's got kind of like the main point, kind of like a summation of the important information that that kids should maybe remember. But again, it's personal preference, because let me show you in this book. So this was another one that I did where we took a lot of information from, where is it? I don't know where, oh, God Made Me. God Made Me. Another curriculum. This is all about biology, history, your body and everything. But I think too, another book, because it doesn't have to be official curriculum books, right? No, of course not. There's this one, The Human Body Theater, amazing, which I've showed you in several times. Very fun, very great book. Look what I do. So we read through breakfast and lunch, and then the next day I might pick it up and read through it. This is the basket. This right here is the basket of kind of all the books I purchased to go through this year. So some of them I've gone through and I have to take them out. And if I start them and I don't think they're that great, then because I have so many backups of backups of backups, I get rid of them. There's curriculum in here that is specific for ADHD. Kids do reading and math on their own, but other language arts subjects such as grammar, such as vocab, such as reading comprehension, we do together. I do it the same way. Reading and then asking questions. I ask for the answers orally. And yeah, I'll say, okay, your turn for this, your turn for that, your turn for this. Even when they're eating, although sometimes I do have to wait till they finish chewing. Okay, so I have a ton of that stuff. We've established that. So that's covered breakfast and lunch, whatever I feel like teaching, because I know where I'm left off because I have these little, they're basically Post-its. They're basically half Post-its that you can buy at Walmart. So I have them there. Then I go through, and these are just questions and things that I want my kids to know. This is kind of, I don't want to call it catechism because it's not really. It's just who made you? These are their answers. God did. What else did God make? God made all things. But it can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be Christian. Affirmations that I want them to know and to repeat. And so one day a week, I mean, anytime you feel like it, though, it doesn't have to be one day. You don't have to add all that other stuff in. I mean, this, I did want them to make sure they knew the days of the week. The original 13 colonies, maybe we'll go over the Lord's Prayer, make sure everyone knows it. Whatever you're working on, whatever you are working on. There's some things I put in this book, though, that I just decide, hey, I want them to remember. That's not in, that's not in here, maybe, but that it's in a book we read and I want them to remember it, or I think it's interesting to remember, and then I change my mind. Like, they don't need to know the layers of the ocean, which, to be honest, they might know them already, but they don't need to know them. They currently do not need to know the layers of the atmosphere. This is not something they need to, that I consider important for future learnings. It's not. So some things I've decided not to. These are spreadsheets or cheat sheets that I've made of my own. There's one curriculum that comes with cheat sheets, and that is Real Science for Kids. Their curriculum comes with cheat sheets. I paid extra for it. They're very good. But they're made kind of like this, in a way. They have, the important thing is the mnemonic device. Is a sea jelly a fish? That's true or false. It has a mnemonic device. What makes a fish? Backbone plus gills make a fish, right? Mnemonic devices, so that they're remembering these, just to help to get it in their head. How does the ocean get its salt? So I would read this like once a week. We go through this whole book. It doesn't take long. It takes like 15 minutes. This one was based off of what I was reading in the God Made Me by Generations, which I think I'm going to put off till next year. But mitosis, one cell becoming 2 new cells by being divided. So there you go, mnemonic device. So I add that in to reproduce, make more living things of its kind. Some curriculums have definitions that you might think is important or that you want them to learn. You can add that in. DNA facts. Baby gets half the DNA instructions from mom and half from dad, okay? So it's whatever you think is important to learn, you put in here. It doesn't take long. I just make it in Canva. It literally takes me not that long. And then I can use it for a test if I want, right? I can test them and quiz them. I can even copy that off and just say true or false, or, you know, explain such and such to me, a concept. This is American Sign Language that we were working on and have since abandoned. It was nice in theory. Benjamin Franklin we read. This was from My Father's World we read. a passage about Benjamin Franklin, and I found him freaking fascinating. So I wrote out some, what I thought were the most important things or most interesting things about Benjamin Franklin on here, so we could review those. The rainforest, this turned out, I made this, did I make this? I'm pretty sure I did. But again, in Canva, I'm not an artist. I just look at the, the things that they have the pictures and then write in rainforest and it'll pop some stuff up. This I've ditched because they don't need to know the emergent layer maybe, but and the forest floor, what's on there. I mean, they don't need to know that, right? Like some of this stuff is useless, which is why we don't do activity books. Some of the reasons we don't do activity books, and because writing's not their strength. Because if I spent all the time letting them write stuff, I mean, we wouldn't learn as much as we do. Yeah, writing is definitely not their strength. They do write and they do creative writing and stuff, but that's like orally to me and I type it down. So plant recipe. I created this based on this book right here. Just because I thought it was interesting or I thought it was important to know. And now, of course, all my kids know that carbon dioxide, like it's a cycle. Carbon dioxide comes from animals and humans. So what do plants give us? Oxygen. What do animals and humans give plants? Carbon dioxide when we exhale. So they know it's a cycle, right? And that was, we studied kangaroos for a second. Anyway, so there you go. That's how we do it. And then there's no real rhyme or reason. I wish I kind of did it more. The testing and such. But I mean, maybe I did it last time I did it was in November, but to have another one I think would be cool, because then again you just take a couple weeks like on Fridays or whatever and just spend like 15 minutes going over answers with everybody and kind of doing like a testing kind of run up with everyone, like, hey, answer this, answer that, and it's kind of cool, it's kind of fun, and then you have a record of, okay, this is what they scored, and I tell them, you know, I'm not going to tell you the scores because it's not about the score, it's just about doing your best. So yeah, and so the scores are just for me to know. It's my personal information that I know. Especially, I do that too because siblings tend to compete against each other, and it's fine. Have them compete against a parent. Don't have your children compete against each other. Have them compete against a parent, just to create more of a bonding team thing. At least that's what I do. All right, I hope you tune in tomorrow.